Hello, privacy. Hello, privacy. Let's talk about antivirus. Ticker symbol AINTI, or phonetically AINTI. Ain't I wonderful? We're going to talk about a privacy coin, a meme coin, and an AI agent coin all wrapped up into one, all surrounding the legacy of the original crypto influencer, a guy who was like James Bond on one hand and Albert Einstein on the other hand, a man named John McAfee, a man you just can't clone, a guy whose life was so original that we're bringing him back from the dead. That's right, with an AI agent. What's an AI agent? Well, it's a form of AI that doesn't require you to type in something like a chatbot query. It does something on its own. So if the AI agent produces a tweet, say, or a comment, or anything like a Telegram message, you can then reply to that message, and the John McAfee AI agent will reply to you. Now, you might be asking, well, how do you have an AI agent from a dead guy? Because John McAfee is deceased and he passed away in a Spanish prison over highly suspicious circumstances. Well, easy. The people closest to McAfee have got writings that haven't been released, videos that haven't been released, stories from his widow, stories from those he knew that aren't just on Netflix documentaries. So if you take the publicly available information, that secret, private information, and you program the agent, voila, you have John McAfee coming back to tweet, write, and eventually talk, podcast, be a hologram, and walk around. Sound interesting? Want to hear more? Want to hear how this AI agent meme coin isn't just a meme coin? How it's going to help you with privacy, hence my handsome hat? Then stick around for this video. If you need a roadmap in crypto, subscribe to this channel. Turn on alerts so you know when we're going live, and if the content works for you, hit that like button. Okay. Like I said, I'm your host, Bill Noble. Let's talk about antivirus. So John McAfee's people, and particularly his widow, Janice, got this idea for this coin to A, keep John's legacy alive. John's legacy, to keep it brief, he was the founder of McAfee AINTIvirus, which you may still have on your computer. He slept in an office 7 days a week for 2 years to essentially make a program that took a computer operating system apart, which, you know, in the late 80s was revolutionary, pull out the virus, and then put the operating system back together again, you know, over and over and over again as viruses popped up. So the company went public, you know, he became massively wealthy overnight, and then embarked on a journey where he took on everybody from, you know, cartels in Latin America that he refused to pay protection money to taking on, you know, Uncle Sam and the Internal Revenue Service. And he fought and ran and fought and ran until they finally got to him. And that was the end. Now, he was also a major cryptocurrency influencer. He wrote the Declaration of Cryptocurrency Independence. And don't worry, I won't read it to you, but one day you will read it. And if you don't read it, you're going to see it in a glass case in a museum. And basically, he wrote that your money comes from people who believe that they can print it, devalue that money, devalue the labor that you do to get that money, and we need something different. We need a choice, and that choice is crypto. That sounds like consensus information today. But in 2018, it was absolutely revolutionary. Way ahead of his time. Way ahead. So now we're bringing this guy back as an AI agent. And get this, to preserve his legacy, this coin, AINTI, will be used to purchase privacy services like a SIM card for your phone where you can talk and text privately, or an email service where you can email people privately, or a gift card service where you can buy a gift card, use it, and not have the whole world knowing about it. Now, why would you want these things? Well, because Silicon Valley makes billions taking your data and, using it to make money, obviously, and you don't get any of that money. And then, of course, there's this idea of, some kind of sentient or super AI that could pry on you, predict your behavior, and do all kinds of insidious things, whether it comes from a government or the private sector. Not to mention, if you're in the metaverse, one day you may need some type of privacy coin or some type of privacy onboarding. And how do you do that? Well, that's easy. You take the AINTI token, AINTI, and you purchase these privacy services. So this coin is going to onboard people into privacy. It's going to be a cool AI agent meme coin. Now, to tell you what a cool AI agent meme coin can do, something like Fartcoin. Fartcoin was created by an AI agent called Truth Terminal. Just simply said, well, what will humans think is funny? Oh, Fartcoin. What will humans resist? Or at least high-end analysts resist? Fartcoin. So let's make Fartcoin. And then all the crypto people go, oh, we love it because everyone hates it. And it went to a value of 0.5 billion. It corrected massively in late January and February of 2025 and is only worth 700 million. AINTI, as of the recording of this video, recently popped up to 14 million in value after sitting around 4 million. Now, we'll go over the chart and we'll do some price prediction analysis. But needless to say, this concept of privacy combined with privacy services and this AI agent that walks, talks, etc., or one day will walk and currently talks, I should say, of the most famous, of the most notorious, of a guy who was in massive danger all the time. And according to a first-hand source, was never afraid. Maybe he was afraid on the inside, but he never showed it on the outside. Like James Bond, like the real James Bond, with an Albert Einstein brain for computer programming. How many people have you known like this throughout history who can also write about write like Thomas Jefferson? And he's coming back to life as an AI agent in an age where Michael Saylor just appeared on the cover of Forbes just before a crash. Meaning, I'm wondering what influencer is there in crypto that has any cred? Now, of course, Michael Saylor has cred, but it's a little embarrassing to appear on the cover of a magazine right before the great crash in crypto on silly tariff news in February of 2025. This McAfee agent can step in and be a crypto influencer and fill this huge void. After talking to a first-hand source, he loved his wife. He was a human being. He fought bad guys. He never gave in, and he stuck with what he believed in, even if that put him on the run on a boat from bad guys for the rest of his life. Bad guys who chased him, on his boat in the United States, right? And Cloak and Dagger was involved, meaning, he was fighting people who were sophisticated on the intelligence and the operational front, and they still couldn't get to him until the very end. Who do you want talking to you about crypto? Who do you look up to? Can you go to the movies and get an action hero like this? The answer is no. Hell no. So let's talk about superhero AI agent influencers. Let's talk about what that coin could be worth. Let's talk about the technical analysis on that coin. Let's talk about the roadmap, right? Let's talk about big Twitter accounts tweeting about John McAfee. And I'll tell you why they're tweeting about John Mac. So let's get into the chart. Let's get into the chart. I'm going to share my screen and we'll get into it. Okay, so here's John McAfee himself telling you that, you think you're private, you think you have privacy, but you don't. You don't. And don't let me forget, we're going to do some work and show you who's picking up on this idea. So this coin went through some turmoil. There was a first version where we really had to believe, but the second version went from 0 to 80 cents or an $80 million valuation, at which point a lot of the people who lived through this, this sort of tumultuous period of the first version of the coin took profits, okay? And everybody took profits and everybody sold and everybody got out. And then we started to make something called the bigger the base, the higher into space. In other words, when everyone gets out and it range trades like this is a 15-minute chart, which will be relevant long-term, and I'll tell you why. But everybody gets out and smart money accumulates. And then you have this. You have on the 15-minute chart, you have what I would call a beautiful, organic, natural rhythm. In other words, when AINTI started a trend up, it was very natural. It was a 5-wave structure. Comes from Elliot wave, a guy who sat on the beach and said, this is how things move in nature. And he applied it to markets. It's very difficult to apply, but sometimes it's simple, right? So when AINTIvirus bottomed at 4 cents, it trended up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that was the first leg of a bigger trend. And then AINTIvirus went sideways, 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 sideways. And this very simply was A, B, C. And that is exactly how a 2-wave goes. Elliot wave has 5 waves. The first wave, the third wave, and the 5-wave go in the direction of the trend, and the 2-wave and the 4-wave are corrective. And this, just by my measurement, is a really nifty 2-wave because it just zigzags. Then, after the zigzag period, lo and behold, what do we have? A move from 4 cents, 6 cents to 20 cents. Why? Because some big player came in. And when that big player came in, there wasn't much selling to meet him. There was no seller. Why? Because everybody already sold. Everybody goes out, 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 because they didn't understand that a talking, writing superhero who's like James Bond, Albert Einstein, and Thomas Jefferson, along with privacy product utility, is worth a lot more than 10 million. It could be worth a lot more than 2.5 billion. That's why when this person came in, he's like, I don't care. Just buy it. And that is exactly what you get when you get the third wave. The third wave gives you a lot of gratification. Slowly, gradually, then suddenly. So you have the first part of the third wave, okay? All these big trends like the third part, it'll have a 5-wave structure too. So you go up and then you maybe zigzag. Maybe hang out for a while around the 62% retracement at 12 cents and maybe retest the old high at 10 cents. And hopefully you're watching this and it's at $4 and you're laughing that we sat around and worried whether or not we were going to get more at 12 cents or 10 cents. But regardless of what happens, strategic asset reserve, all this stuff that's coming out on February 4th, 2025, my attitude is who cares? If you get a dip in this thing and it holds, then that sets up the granddaddy of them all. 3 of 3. Now, here's a question you have to ask yourself. When you get to this part, that's where all the gratification is. Essentially, what you want to catch is the middle part of the big move. And simply, the market has a nice natural rhythm. And if you're going to take risk, and of course, this is a small coin, it can just go to zero any moment. That's just true with all small coins. And I own the coin, so just so you know. But if you're right about this, if you're going to take risk in this market, you don't think there's risk in this market? 3 days ago, Ethereum went from 3,300 to 2,100 in 2 days. So if you're going to take that kind of risk, isn't it better to take a risk on John McAfee and this thing going from 4 million or 10 million to 5 billion one day? I mean, Pepe the Frog went to 8 billion. Why can't James Bond, Thomas Jefferson, and Albert Einstein do that? So you got to ask yourself, even if you're watching this much later, if this thing still has a natural rhythm, like up, straight up, ABC, zigzag, up, even if it's gradual, zigzag, up, zigzag. If you continue to see that natural rhythm, even if you don't know how to count waves, right? If you see people buying dip on a bull market until you can buy a dip and make money, you bought this dip and made money. You bought the big dip and made money. So you bought money, you made money on the big dip and the small dip. And if that continues, then the market has a natural rhythm. So it's not investment advice. It's like, hey, what kind of gratification am I getting? If you're getting gratification, people are going to start piling in. Now, let's talk about, I think, how this really developed. So obviously, once this hit that John McAfee was back because they used his Twitter account that had 1 million followers on it to launch this coin. Lo and behold, Illuminati bot that has 2 million followers started doing a lot of John McAfee tweets, right? Like he was not a fan of the IRS, as Donald Trump is talking about getting rid of the income tax. And that's what they went. One of the things the US government went after him on was personal tax evasion, which is laughable considering that the McAfee Antivirus Corporation paid massive amounts of taxes. Okay, so regardless of that, his thinking in the past is now consensus in the present. And this Twitter feed has got 2 million followers, and they're tweeting about this guy because they got nothing else to talk about. Donald Trump's dismantling the deep state. Donald Trump's throwing woke everything out the window. So what do all these Twitter feeds that were kind of like, anti-woke, pro-freedom, on the right, libertarian, what are they going to tweet about now? That's easy. They're going to tweet about John McAfee, and that's what's been happening. And I'm telling you, when crypto crashed and somebody's like, I want to take some Solana and I want to go park it somewhere where I can, get involved. Somebody went into a decentralized exchange and took some Solana and traded it for AINTI, because that's how this works right now. It's not available on centralized exchanges. You have to use Jupiter or Radium and a Phantom wallet to get it. Somebody just came in and said, you know what? I'm going to trade out my Solana, get a little AINTI. Now, on top of that, as if we're not having enough fun, so we have Illuminati bot picking up on John McAfee, and then to complete the picture, excuse the scrolling, we have his widow, Janice, tweeting about the roadmap for the product. So the roadmap, right, involves a gift card, right, chatting with John, a mixer, John McAfee eventually going to audio, merch, right, a cross-chain going for Solana and ETH, antivirus encrypted email. So in other words, they have product, they have a story, they have marketing, and they have the coolest AI agent in the whole world. And no matter who you talk to, it's like, oh my God, AI agents, right? AI that can do things without being told. Like you set it up and go, right? Like every time there's a chip in the, paint on your fence, imagine an AI agent that just kind of, orders more paint for you to go paint. It just looks at the fence and goes, okay, time to fix this part of the fence. Now, of course, this is not the same thing, but we're bringing someone back from the beyond, right? Not a dog coin or not Fartcoin. Now, it's got a natural rhythm to it. And my takeaway for you is simple. Privacy is back. The influencer that advocated for privacy is back. Just a question of what platform he gets to talk on. Twitter initially, in terms of risks to the project, initially kind of freaked out after it became popular and said, well, wait a minute, we have to decide if a dead guy can talk. Guess what? The dead guy's going to talk in Telegram or wherever, and Twitter is probably just developing a corporate policy so that this thing can continue, because they're going to bring all these people back. Like Marilyn Monroe and Elvis are coming back. It's just a question of when and how. So in my opinion, and there is risks to his view, he will be back on X. And if he's not, he will be back on Telegram or somewhere else. John McAfee is back. Antivirus seems to have a low valuation, not investment advice, relative to other coins. And if you were looking for a small cap or even micro cap project to add a little speculative juice to a broader crypto portfolio, John McAfee. Now, the final selling point on this is that John McAfee, the release of the, AINTI token was literally right after the inauguration, after Donald Trump released his meme coin, which went to like a stratospheric valuation in like the tens of billions. If Donald Trump can go to $50 billion, I know he's famous. It's Donald Trump. But if Donald Trump is at 50 billion and John McAfee is at 5 million or 10 million, even if Donald Trump's coin corrects to 20 million or corrects to 20 billion or 15 billion or 4 billion, that's obviously a lot higher than what antivirus is doing. And I would say it in finance terms, the AINTI token, AINTI, okay, and again, make sure you get the right contract. Make sure you get it from John McAfee's official Twitter page. I don't give it out on videos. You got to find official McAfee on Twitter and get the right contract address. But the bottom line is there is asymmetric upside in this coin. In other words, it could go from 10 million to 4 million. That's your downside. And that's a big percentage move. Or it could go from 10 million to 5 billion over the course of 2 years, or from 10 million to 1 billion in the course of, I don't know, 6 months. Non-investment advice. Like, how long did it take these coins like Fartcoin to move? They moved in like 6-7 months. And other meme coins of like dogs, cats, that had really strong communities, like AINTIvirus does, right? Stuff with strong communities reached huge valuations. You had to wait. It's not immediate gratification. It doesn't happen tomorrow. But with Illuminati bot on it, with me on it, and with the community just like, tweeting and tweeting and tweeting, people are seeing the value. And if you have volatility in Bitcoins, people may say, well, you know what? I don't really want to take too much risk in Bitcoins. Or if I'm going to take risk, I'll do it in Solana because I can convert Solana into AINTIvirus. That is my personal attitude. So if you're looking for something that's undervalued, that gives you privacy, have a look at this token. Okay, so this is not investment advice. Small coins can go down. They can go to zero, but they can also go up. So think about it.